So our feet and hips have a major effect on each other, and the function of one will significantly influence the function of the other in this constant dance of feedback while we move through the world. So for optimal lower body health, it's very important to train both the feet and the hips, and obviously you can do that in isolation, which is helpful in some cases, but there are some really great movements and exercises that can train both the feet and hips all at once. So that's what we're going to go through in today's video. The routine will be 5 exercises, doing 1 minute total for each exercise, and obviously if you want more, then you can just go through the entire routine again and again if you want to. Okay, so our first exercise is going to be a split stance hinge. So split stance is just 1 foot in front of the other. They don't have to be narrow like that, but about hip width apart is good. Standing nice and tall, you're up on the toes of the back foot, and you are just hinging your hips back while reaching your arms forward like so. So nice and slow, and then you stand back up all the way and go again. So the key here is you're not changing the position really of either of these knees. So I'm not straightening this knee like that. I want that to remain nice and soft. And I'm also not shooting forward like that. So that knee position remains constant as I reach forward, as does the back leg and foot position. So you can see here I'm getting big toe extension. You don't have to be as far up onto the toe if you can't quite get there. I'll just show the other side. Just whatever you can manage in terms of your range of motion, and that range of motion might just look like this. That's fine, over time it'll improve. And we're looking for a total of 30 seconds on each side for that movement. Next one, we're going to go into a wide squat. So this is really just as wide as you can tolerate. It doesn't have to be as wide as I'm going here. And as we squat down, we're trying to sit back into our hips, which I'll show you from the side in a second, and trying to drive the knees out while keeping the big toe on the ground. So I don't want you to drive the knee out and do that, lifting the foot off. I'm trying to keep that big toe into the ground, which is really great for working on your midfoot mobility and control, and you'll feel a lot of work through your arch muscles and through your hips here. So from the side, you can see that I'm actually sitting back into my hips like that, and then you can straighten up. But if you just try and do this, you'll run out of room quickly because you'll run into ankle range of motion limitations. So aiming for 1 minute total for this movement, you can either do slow, controlled squats as far as you can go, or you can hold at your deepest range of motion for say 10 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever you can manage, and then have a rest and repeat. Up to you how you split up that minute, but working for a total of 1 minute. Next one is a curtsy squat. So this is now working on more of that hip external rotation. So one leg comes behind, up on the toes, so you still get that toe extension, and then rotate your arms out like there's a wall in front of you and you're trying to keep your arms away from that wall, and then you're just squatting down like so and back up, down and back up. Your range of motion is just dictated by your own body here. That would be fine, this would be fine, and over time you can build up further and further until you get all the way down to the ground. 30 seconds on one side, swap to the other side, same setup. Leg comes around, up on your toes, arms out, and then coming down. The further this leg reaches, the more space you'll have to squat further down. If you just want to do this at the moment, that's fine. All depends on where your body's at, but the further you go, the more you'll be able to go down into that range of motion. 30 seconds each side, and then we can move on to squat rotations. So not as wide as your wide squat, but about shoulder width or a bit more is fine here. You're squatting down as deep as you can, and then you're actually working on the opposite direction of hip rotation, which is internal rotation, by lifting this heel. I'll show from the side. You lift that heel, one side rotates in so that the knee is trying to face the other. So from the front, down in a squat, lift one heel onto the toes, rotate in to face the other. So as you improve with that, and as your squat depth improves, then you can make that more challenging just by doing it in a deeper squat position. That can feel pretty intense at first. You might feel a bit pinchy in the hips. So if you need to, just come back up out of that range of motion and work at whatever's comfortable for you. A minute total. Obviously you can do 10 seconds, then have a rest, or 15 or so on, and build up to doing the total 1 minute without any rest over time. Last one is a split squat or a split walk. So the split squat is just a nice long stance. Before we did the split stance hinge, it was a close stance. This is a long split stance, and we're just coming forward like so, trying to keep this back knee straight. So if I was to bend that knee, I just get a little bit less in my hip extension. But if I keep this back leg straight, as straight as possible, then I can come down and you'll really start to feel that down the front of your hip flexor. So we're working on hip extension and toe extension for this one. So that's a great beginner way to start. You might find that you want to step up onto a box or a chair or a stool, which will make it a bit easier. And obviously you can continue increasing the range of motion as you like. You'll start to get in the realm of some knee training there, but you obviously still get that hip and foot training. A progression to that would be a split walk once you're feeling really comfortable down here, and that would just look like coming up onto the toes, coming forward with the other one, lunging forward. So a bit more of an advanced exercise, quite advanced, but something that you can eventually build up to if that's something you're interested in, but you don't necessarily have to get there in order to get the benefits of that split squat. So again, 30 seconds on each side if you're doing the squat for a minute total, or a minute of that split walk, whatever your level is at. And that's it for the 5-minute routine. As I said, you can do 10 minutes or 15 minutes, or as long as you want. You can keep going through those, but best to start small, build up gradually. And if you're finding value in these videos, please like and subscribe. We come out with them every week. We also have balance training routines in our soulmate sessions that you can follow along to, whether or not you have a soulmate. And if you're looking for more specialized guidance and support, then we do have our Explorer community membership as well. And you can find all the details for that down below.